regret that, probably, but, you know, at the same time, there was a certain commitment, and it's just, it's different.
Yeah.
It really is.
So sorry, I have a bunch of questions related to this stuff. I'm just thinking of ideas. So when everything is reassessed, which the reassessment is happening this year, right? Do we have projections on how much more that brings to Champion, and is that allocated anywhere?
It could actually bring less.
Yeah.
Keep in mind that depending on what the market's doing, right now, I think our reassessment, if I understood correctly, property values are gonna come in less.
The last assessment was 2020, right? Isn't it every 3 years?
I believe.
Mm-hmm. I believe so, yeah.
So,
I believe if it's a big enough loss, the auditor can freeze it at a given amount. Whereas that would just send everything to a grinding halt if it was
yeah,
too
you
much.
can't take it away. So, at this time, I don't know where it would be. You know, you're hearing so much on the streets right now on property values. Keep in mind that as interest rates continue to rise, property values go the other direction. So it's a concern. I don't know that interest rates are settled yet, where they're at.
Mm-hmm.
I'm hearing another percent possible. I don't know if that's true, but
Mortgages are predicted to be down over the year, even though the Fed is gonna raise the funds rate
so we'll,
another 1/2 to 3/4, I think is what they're projecting.
it's concerning. Have to see. I mean, you can't project it because they have no idea what it will do.
Yeah.
Traditionally, I don't think the reassessments have ever changed our numbers greatly.
Hmm.
So, yeah, what we're talking about here is, this is,
That's minuscule.
that wouldn't,
Mm-hmm.
it wouldn't even come close to what we're talking about. I mean, if you look, I don't want anyone to think that I've lost my mind here, but if you look at our fire department in a whole, we have some newer equipment, we also have some dated equipment.
Mm-hmm.
Our tanker's dated, our ambulance are just getting the heck beat out of them.
Right.
High mileage. As Rex said, we will probably need to have a very solid conversation on replacing an ambulance, because keep in mind, we have an ambulance that right now is about a year and just over a year old,
Just
right?
over a year, yeah.
Got 50,000 miles on it. If we ordered an ambulance today, it's 2.5 years to get one. So if you look at that and think, time that ambulance gets here and goes in service, 3 years. That means that our first out ambulance would have 150,000 miles on it at the rate that we're traveling today. And then our second out ambulance, how many miles are on that now?
102.
102, it's already over 100,000. Even as a backup bus is still gonna have another 50 on it, so we're gonna have 2 buses with 150 plus on them in 3 years. And that's as quick as we're gonna get a new ambulance, $300,000.
If you want good reading, Google private ambulance companies and see where they're at. I mean, it's countrywide. You know, they bring patients into hospitals, and essentially they sit in queue. So you're tying up, you know, paramedics for hour and a half more, I'm sure. And they've talked, tried to pass some type of legislation that the hospital pays their time sitting in queue, because it's only fair. You know, they've done their part, they've picked up the patient, forwarded the vitals, all the information they have, they get to the hospital, and they're in queue. So essentially, they're shut down until that hospital gets that patient in a bed or in the emergency room in some way. But what's happening, they're just sitting on the gurneys in the ambulance, waiting for the hospital to say, okay, we're ready for you.
Right, so last week, for example, I had to be on the ambulance. We had all 3 squads going at one time, because between 8 and 10 o'clock in the morning, we had 6 calls. So we had all 3 squads, we had great shift change, so the other guys were able to stay, one guy came back off duty. I sat at St. Joe's for an hour and a half, waiting for a bed. Not because there wasn't any beds available, there was no nurses available, the attendance beds. So what do? You're stuck. You're sitting there in the ER with the patient on the cot, and you can't do nothing. So, when we have 3 people on duty, just imagine that. So now we have 2 people sitting there for an hour and a half.
And only one.
Yeah. Like I said,
It's a convoluted mess.
it's bad.
And then with other townships having shortages, that only exacerbates it.
Yeah.
And there's the next thing that scares me, is right now we have a good relationship with Bezetta
Mm-hmm.
in Bristolville. Couple others that back us up, but I think Bezetta's our first 2, and Warren
Yep.
Township's number 2, and then Bristol, depending where we're at, right?
Right.
But if we're constantly relying on Bezetta to come over here and help us because we refuse to staff
Mm-hmm.
or refuse to take control of the situation that we're in, there's gonna come a point that Bezetta's gonna have to say, guys, we can't do this anymore either, where we start losing credibility with them, and it's not credibility that I'm concerned about, it's still the safety of our residents and our men.
And that costs us money every time, not money's the factor, but it still costs us money every time Bezetta comes over the chamber.
And here's the other thing that everybody needs to understand is, if we're gonna fix this problem, it's gonna require a levy. There's just no way around it, right?
No, cost of business is, I mean, across the country, cost of business, you know,
Yeah.
you're a businessman.
As quickly as we're gonna be able to get a levy on the ballot will probably be November.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we can't, it's too late for this.
Yep.
Yeah, it's too
So-
late.
Yeah.
It would be November, which means we wouldn't see money until the following May, is that correct?
Yeah.
Till the following May. So
Mhm.
you are a year and
Year and a half.
3 months, 4
Sure.
months?
Before we can, if it passes, before we can even do anything. And
Right.
you know, this whole plan, you know, with staffing, was way prior to me, way prior to these guys, you know. In 1996, there was a plan to put a second fire station up north, you know, that's why we bought, that's why we bought the tanker, you know, to put it at the second station up north, you know. The plan was there, you know, the guys before me knew that the call volume was gonna go up, that there was a need for it, you know, we just never were able to do anything. Well, I'm telling you, we're right now, not even at a crossroad, you know, this is, you know, do or die right now, you know, this is, we're in a bad spot, that's what I'm saying.
We're not dead, but if we don't start taking
Right.
steps
We're on life support.
to protect it, we will get to a point that it's too late to save.
Mm-hmm.
And that's my concern, and that's why I think that, we need to stay on this, and, you know, Rex, really, to me, shined a spotlight on the whole thing with that article in the Tribune. He saw it and actually cut it out,
Mm-hmm.
because I think when he saw it, he thought the same thing, right? Where,
Yeah.
oh my God,
Still have it.
Yeah.
carries it.
Did you see it?
You know, and that's why, you know, when we were hiring, I have friends in Howland, you know, they get beat up pretty good.
Alan,
Howland, yeah, when I asked them, hey, you know, you interested? Oh, Tom, we love you, but, yeah, no.
let me ask you this question, because I don't know that I've ever got a solid answer on this. Howland also does transporting, right?
Occasionally, yes.
Not just emergency runs, but you can call them and have them take you to a doctor, correct?
Doctor, I'm not sure of, I know that they will take you from St. Joe's Hospital to Shepherd of the Valley, I know that for a fact.
For their residents, so they're doing non-emergency transports. I don't know, Do you know how many non-emergency transports are doing?
No, I don't.
Somebody said they were doing some wheelchair transports for residents also. Do you know if that's correct?
No, that was Brookfield.
That's Brookfield.
Brookfield used to do that, they don't anymore.
They don't.
They used to operate a actual ambulance. You know, they would take their guys off shift, not off shift, but, you know, out of the station, run that ambulance, take somebody to the doctor's office, wait for them to get done with the appointment, and then take them back home and then come back.
So are any townships still doing that kind of stuff or no?
The ambulance stuff, no, definitely not. Brookfield was the last one. Howland still does the non-emergency transports once in a while. Other than that, not that I know of.
Do they do those when they have adequate staffing only, or do you know how that works for them? I've never talked to James about it.
Yeah, I don't know the inside of that. I just know they do it. Actually, Portland does too once in a while. It just depends.
So, what's the legality of having like a $100 premium added to emergency services for each trip?
No, we already billed. Yeah, so essentially we bill almost $1,200 per call plus mileage. But when your insurance company says, well, we're going to allow $400, you're stuck. You know, that's the law.
See, and, I mean, people my age, and especially Bill's age.
Wow,
Man.
You know, Medicare don't pay anything. They just don't.
Yeah, because you can't use economics for it, like, if you wanted to slow down your towing service, you just charge more, and that's how you would slow it down, but if you can't get people to pay, then I guess you can't use the economics of it.
And that's some of our other stuff is residents, we don't hard bill either. I mean, so we'll take what your insurance company pays. So if we come to your house, you break your ankle and you need transported, we come pick you up, we take you. You turn that into your insurance company. Our normal bill is $1,200. The insurance company pays us $150. We don't come after you for the other $1,050. You're resident, you're paying your property taxes, that's a benefit to the department. So we don't do that, nor should we. I would never be in favor of doing that, but, you know, we have residents that get down, have some hard times, and you know, you're at their house 15 times a week for 4 months. There's been several instances of that going on where people just, you know, I don't need anything, can you come help me get my mother-in-law out of the house into the car so I can take her to the doctor because I can't lift her? Yeah, okay. Lift assists, you know, helping with things like that. Then, you know, 4 hours later they get back home, it's the same problem. You know, I got to get her back in the house, and you know, my wife was going through that. You guys were helping with her and her family, her mom and dad, trying to get them to doctor's appointments and stuff when I wasn't available to go help, and that's a great service to our residents, but it's sometimes overwhelming, but I get it.
Yeah,
That's
and-
what we're here for.
And, you know, the economic standpoint, you know, I know that I've gone to Mrs. Miller's house, you know, 15 times this week. Well, I also know Mrs. Miller only has a loaf of bread on the counter and a jug of milk in the fridge. You know, so I don't believe that it's okay to charge that patient, you know, what more than she could pay or her insurance could pay. You get to know these people, you know, just like the guy over at State Road. We've gone there, I don't know, 50 times in the last 2 months, because he has a doctor's appointment in the morning, doctor's appointment in the afternoon, but that's a service we provide. And that woman is so grateful for that, I'm okay with that, you know, it's just.
So we have to, you're gonna be important, you give us some numbers, and then we're gonna have to figure out what it's gonna take, and then we're gonna have to educate the community on, these are our options. I mean, because that's where we're going.
That's it, yeah.
I mean,
Whatever, you know, and I don't wanna, you know, use scare tactics or anything like that, but, you know, this is the reality of it. And whatever the community decides is, that's it. And we will do the best with what we have. I'm just saying, this is what we need to provide the service and the responsibility that we have.
No more busing. No more football for your kid. That's it.
Right?
If we
Sorry.
can't do scare tactics
Yeah,
like this.
sorry,
huh?
yeah.
That's it, we're not busing Junior. That's okay. I'm laughing when I'm saying it. Okay, so get the numbers,
Yep.
and then we'll have to, maybe the next workshop also have numbers and
Yeah.
get some ideas and some thoughts about where we need to go. I mean, keep in mind that we still have aging facilities. You know.
Well, and I will put that into, my shot. I'll put that into that too. I still believe that, if we put a small
Because they're having a
if we put a small substation up north, I think that would give us, greater opportunity to, serve the community rather than the one large facility that we, that was previously talked about. Because again, one big shiny new firehouse with nobody in it is not gonna do us any
We're
good.
not putting any shine on it.
No?
You'd be
Just a
lucky
matte-
to get
matte
4
black.
walls and no paint. buddy.
Yeah.
Concrete's expensive, not dirt
Yeah.
floors.
That's right, you're gonna grab
At that time,
You're gonna be happy with it.
you said
right?
in
Can you
'96,
say it, Dopey?
whatever,
Yeah.
where were they gonna locate it? That property where they tore that house down on Mahoning Avenue?
I believe it was either that, yes, no, it was that one. Right there, right?
Where the water, you have I think there's a water line coming off there.
Where's that station
The west side of the
proposed,
cemetery
Bill?
right there.
Yeah,
Do you remember?
You mean prior to the school being tore down?
Yeah, it was, about the time we bought the tanker, because that was kind of the purpose of the tanker truck at that point, was to have another station on the north end of town.
Art, I don't know that you're ever gonna sell me on needing more than one station in Champion. I don't think you can sell me on that. But here's why, Howland.
I'll work on it.
Huh?
I said I'll work on
Don't
it.
waste your breath, I'm not going. And here's why,
Mhm.
Howland has multiple stations,
Mhm.
as does Moore Township.
Mhm.
But keep in mind, huh?
Nah.
Keep in mind, those townships are also running, so for Howland to get from one station, they have to go through the city. So if Howland wants to go from their station on 46 to Dover Street,
Mhm.
they're gonna have to go through some city stuff. I mean, there's a better example, so Howland gets an auto accident at Genesee and Elm, that's Howland Township.
Mhm.
They gotta go through the city to get there. So, in the city, back when that was done, there was high traffic counts through the cities and stuff, and I think everyone figured it's better to have multiple facilities where they don't have to go, through the city with the heavy traffic flow. Nowadays, look at the city now versus what it was 20 years ago. I was down at, Gus's Service on Youngstown Road, dropped a car off down there for Mike Brady, and just a couple weeks ago, I'm down there, and I go to pull out, and it was like noon, and I thought, US Sub Shop's right there, I think I'll get a sandwich, right? Why not? Because if you're that close, you might as well.
Might as well.
I looked to the left to pull out, I looked to the right to pull out, and realized that there was not a single car
Nothing.
in sight coming either way. 20 years ago, you'd have sat there for 15 or 20 minutes and then decided the sandwich isn't worth getting killed, I'd turn right with flow instead of trying to cross 422, right? I mean, we all know that. There's times now that I would think that it's quicker for you guys to run a squad to Trumbull without getting on a bypass.
Oh, yeah, normally we go, well, and we have the Opticom system, so we have a seamless route all the way down to Market Street and then over.
Right.
So that is our quickest route.
Yeah,
Used to
where
be,
it
you know,
was the
bypass
bypass
to Larchmont.
to Larchmont for a long time, but now there's just no real traffic flow anymore.
Correct.
So it's, I would be hard pressed to think that we need two stations now. I think, we don't have heavy traffic flow. Our guys are able to get through pretty quickly.
No, the only reason I say that is, you know, response times.
I get it.
You know, instead of building, you know, in the future, I know the plan was to build, you know, a large fire station. If we were to, you know, keep that, downsize that, and then build a substation, cost effective wise, I think that would be,
2 parking lots to plow, 2 furnaces to service, 2, you know. Can we have heat again? Thank you. Good job on that.
Monday, they hooked it all up.
I don't know if you saw me stop up there the other day when you guys were crawling around out there in the rain, and I was gonna get out and see how it was going, but let's face it, it was raining.
Yeah.
so, speaking of the city in perspective, Warren ran, 1,693 calls,
How many?
1,693,
Orange City.
Warren City. I know they don't do EMS, they back the EMS up, blah, 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 but still, 3 stations, 15 guys a turn. A shift, just. Yeah. Liberty 3595 with 2 stations, it's, you guys.
What's Liberty got personnel wise?
They're supposed to have 4 and 2, but again, staffing wise, I don't know, they just hired a kid that's doing ride time with us, in paramedic class. And actually Izzy, so they hired 2 in paramedic school right now. I don't know where they're at full-time wise now. I know they were short, but that might have brought them up.
They just approved a contract for.
Yes, they did.
Did you see?
Yes,
I
they
have
did.
that
Oh,
article.
don't worry, they told me about it.
I have that article too.
Okay.
What'd they wind up with?
Well, I'll get it for you.
Okay. It's like having Bob Copeland sitting next to you.
Yeah.
Well,
Call me the tribute.
Rex is still an old guy that gets paid for. I do too, but.
Imagine that. They don't rely on social media. That's enough said.
Yeah, I see you on Facebook.
Yeah, I don't read, I don't get involved with any bantering. You never see me banter. Don't
Oh,
mess-
Hey!
My
Look at
goodness.
his name, here it comes.
2% pay increase per year. Payroll is more than $1 million annually. Wages for captains is $29.21 an hour. And $29.79 in 2024, and $30.39 in 2025. Lieutenants received $27.01 in 2023, $27.55 in 2024, and $28.10 in 2025.
Well, we're pretty close to that.
yeah, our captains make 1907. What do they make?
Their
28.
captains,
Wait, that is
the first year of the contract, $29.21.
$10 more an hour.
Second year of the contract,
That is 40,000.
$29.79. Third year, $30.39.
Straight time, just $1,000 a
I'm
year.
good, he was ready to go.
Oh, you'll get it on social media.
Yeah, make sure you post that.
Jason, you have to understand, we don't work a 2,080 hour, you know, work here.
Yeah.
20 hours off.
Just think what that does
So it's
for
like
your overtime.
52
Holy cow.
base
Okay.
for him.
Did I write that?
Huh?
Did I write that story?
Oh, I don't know who.
I bet you did.
Sounds familiar.
I
Sound
think
familiar?
that someone's salary is more just because they work overtime as part of their standard shift, you know?
Here you go, here's I got another one. I'm loaded.
Yeah.
Herbert
Rex
lives
Rex
in
got a
EMS
Boss
company.
Copeland scrap fund.
Yeah.
That's all you're talking about.
You're my hero.
That sounds like Liberty.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
Liberty, yeah, they just approved that.
So they got 2%.
Yeah, that's yours, that's yours.
Yeah, it sounded familiar when you were reading it.
So, go to Liberty, make 2% more, so make $10 more an hour as one of our captains, plus you work a different work schedule where you get more time off. We'll have 2 stations, more guys, it's rough.
You know, you need this
No,
to
you're
cite in your presentation. I mean, it speaks volumes.
Oh, I know, yeah.
Where
It's-
we're
You
at.
done it?
Yep.
That's still.
It does,
We're still
There's
good.
no agenda.
Yeah, there was.
Is there an agenda?
Yeah. Bill, do you have
Now
an
that sounds like a Facebook live stream we should do on Chat Like a Champion.
Yeah.
It sounds like
This
what?
case?
So, we have to start stepping in the right direction.
Correct.
There's no way that we don't.
Yes.
I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but it is what it is.
Somewhere
So the plan is this, you're gonna get with Courtney,
Yep.
you work the numbers, put together your wish list.
you were right about the old man.
We
We'll get
will,
together and meet from there and then,
we will meet from there, come up with a plan, with you and the board on where we think we should go. Something that all of us agree upon. And then figure out what it's gonna take to implement that.
great.
And like I said, this isn't something that, you cannot turn the ship on a dime. It's gonna take some time to, it's gonna be a slow turn, but if we don't start turning it now, we're not going to be able to turn it.
Tommy, did, is
This is
Homerush,
not agile.
Kyle,
It's gonna
and,
take a long time.
Robert working elsewhere besides us?
Kyle's not, Hawk is working at a hospital now.
Sorry.
Robert Hawk, he's at a hospital in Cleveland.
Oh, so he's not during the service at all?
Well, no, he's working as a paramedic.